And we're back. Guys, I am very pleased to have the Giga Brain, Giga Chads of Winning Secrets on here today. Fellas, please introduce yourself. Let's start with Rule of Thule. Who are you? Where can we find your information? How did you contribute to Winning Secrets?
Oh, well, that's a lot of questions. Who I am, I'm just a guy that became very interested in studying RPGs. I became fascinated with them, and I knew there was something interesting there, and I found it in the BrOSR. As far as how I contributed, well, I mean that's a long story, but I basically have pieced together a lot of the elements that happened over the last 6 years, and tried to articulate it, tried to like reflect on it, and understand like what is happening, not just oh we found something, but like what did we find.
Yeah. And Jeffro, who are you?
Yeah, I was accidentally quasi famous with a book I wrote called Appendix N. And back in 2020, I just started playing a game with my friends, and we accidentally stumbled across very surprising things. And when we tried to tell people about it, they didn't want to hear about it, or they said mean things to us. And then for 5 years, every time you thought that there was nothing left to discover, there would be something else that we would come across that would change the way we thought about RPGs. And then even after I quit and walked away from it, other people picked up the ideas and ran very, very long, very, very successful campaigns. And they still found surprising things that make it all work even better. And so, we're just excited. We're just happy. It feels like it just feels like a real legitimate discovery, start to finish.
Absolutely, man.
A lot of people will try to find every possible way that you could argue that we didn't discover something. And there's something to it. And there's a split. Half of everybody that hates me says that I didn't discover anything. I just did things that were in the rules that nobody else was really talking about. And then the other half said that I don't even do that right. I actually made something different from what's in the rules. And so I wish my critics would sort this out, because I don't even know what their criticism is, because I just can't keep up with it.
If you get them in the same room together and they both will profess their contrary arguments, they won't acknowledge each other. They will still just direct their arguments at you, because it happened on Dunder Stream. One dude was saying, oh, this isn't the way they played. And this other guy's like, well, it's a good idea. But, it was just like, they can't look at each other and be like, wait, we should be arguing with each other too.
No. You just have to be punching or directing your animosity in the right direction. That's the only requirement.
This morning, I got a notification on YouTube from some guy being like, it was from a video from a couple years back, being like, what is the BrOSR? It was a response video to one of the Supile dudes.
I saw that.
He was like, this is a homebrew rule that's not in the book. I was like, yeah, it is, man. And then he's like, it's absolutely not. And then he wrote 3 paragraphs describing what he believes the rules to be. And then I just responded with page 37, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, 2nd column, 4th paragraph, go away. It's in the book, man. It's not a homebrew rule.
No. That's my favorite thing about the guys with DM Serious that come out of that, especially that like that R guy, the pirate name guy. They don't get wound up in what these people are saying. It's just they know it works, and that's the end of the story. They if no one sees the same thing that they do, they're like, well, we know this works, and I don't know. They don't react. They don't react against the negativity.
Yeah, I mean the perspective is completely different. It's like there's 2 different worlds entirely of people, And in one world, people are just like, no, nobody ever did that. You know, it's all just static. It's just noise. It's just counter signaling. It's just no, 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 no. But and then in the other world, people like for me, these discoveries and these elements and this approach to the game recovers the game. Like it gives a, you know, why would you play RPGs over a video game?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
why? Video games have gotten so good at performing their various functions. Why would you? There's just no reason to play RPGs if that's all they are. It's just slow video games.
Yeah, and even over on like Grognardia, like James Malazewski, I really look up to him. You know, when I wrote Appendix N, he had stepped away from blogging, and I was like, oh, this is my chance to, like, you know, not exactly fill his shoes.
There's a vacuum.
No, it was like, oh, this is an opportunity, you know, and because he did a pulp fantasy series on his blog, and I was like, you know, somebody should really do something like that, but bigger. But you know, over just this past week on his blog, you know, he's made he's making a new edition of his Traveler type RPG, and it has a faction tier, and it has time in it as a major component, and it sounds like really cool stuff.
I saw that
but
he's
like,
talking about like the consequences of travel taking weeks and things like that.
Consequences.
Yeah,
Yes.
but no,
Let's come back to that.
He had a guy on the in his comments saying like, yeah, you know, I understand that people played games like this in the 70s, kind of mixing sort of a diplomacy style play with what we understand as being role playing, you know. But yeah, do you know of anybody that's done anything like that, you know, more recently, you know? And it's like, you know, I mean, I'm going to say something provocative. Yeah, but you know, it's tame. It's tame for me. But like, we're the only people that documented a really long effort to develop that style of game, and when nobody else could practically get any players together to do anything even moderately challenging.
Jeffro, if these people who said that we always played that way, if they were actually playing that way, these problems that arose for us over the past few years, I've only been in the bros for, you know, 2.5 years, but these problems are so glaringly obvious, and we had to address these issues, and the consequences of us playing in this way leads us to have these results. And the people who, you know, they're ankle biting us, oh, we always play that way. It's like, well, then why don't you understand exactly what we're talking about?
Oh no, that's exactly it. You can tell who actually runs games versus who is just copying talking points based on whether they even understand that these problems exist, you know. And then it's a rare person indeed that can come along and be like, oh, I'm seeing the same things you are, but like, I thought I should do this, like you know, Serious DM with his rumor management system, you know, filtering everything through the referee, but putting the responsibility to writing the rumors up on the players. That like is a master stroke. You know, these same people that like have always played this way, you know, a couple years back were like, BrOSR play doesn't work. It doesn't work because look, it burns out referees. Look what happened to the guy that ran Brovenloft. He doesn't play anymore. Look what happened to Broriental Adventures. That guy Curator, like, you know, we haven't heard from him since. You know, this is
They're just citing our issues.
Yes, right. So, you know, before we had a solution that was like evidence that you know, that these ideas were half baked, and you know, honestly, that was right. You know, they were half baked. You know, but now that those problems have been solved, nobody wanted these problems to be solved because I mean, you got to think about it. There are hundreds of people playing the game more or less the way the bros do. There are dozens of YouTube creators or game designers that they're not taking everything word for word, but they are building off of our efforts. That's a lot of influence. That is a lot of change. That is a lot of gameplay that's going to be an order of magnitude better, even if they come halfway towards what we
I think they're going to have to try a little harder now, because we're getting to the point where, you're talking about like the rumor system and how that solves problems with the like the topography of the fog of war. These concepts are completely inaccessible to somebody that doesn't play the game. So they're going to have to try a lot harder to steal this kind of stuff.
I've never, most of them I never see. Like, and I have evidence from like back channel discussions that people have fed to me of people that and that talk a lot about these topics that don't actually play. I mean, if you've had your suspicions, I mean, if you don't see session reports or if you don't see interviews with people from their campaigns, let me tell you right now, it's not happening. It is not happening. They can, they have a gig where they can produce games that haven't actually been play tested. Right. They never write an essay on the topic of let me do a deep dive on this new concept that is just gaining traction. You'll never hear it from them, but yeah.
All I ever do is run games, and that's why Scene for me was so awesome. Like, I love it, but I think actually my players hate it.
Oh no! Why do they hate it?
Because like they have to actually do something. They have to like write something, and like a lot of my guys. So I've brought in a lot of people into BroXT from my YouTube channel. Some of them are here right now, and maybe they can counter signal against me on this. But up until we introduced Scene, they weren't writing. They were not like making player session reports. So I feel like for them, they're like, oh, now I got to try.
Yeah, dang. Well, I mean, I think it will take some time. Like when you read Rule of Thule's session report for a year-long game, more or less, right? Like you could see, he detailed in there how it took a while for the kinks to get worked out, for a play culture to develop that could leverage this to the fullest. But once they got over that hill, those guys are like, they're sold. They're just completely sold. They wouldn't do it any other way, and I think that's the key. That's what anybody should look for in RPGs is like, when did somebody do something that permanently changes the way that you would write an RPG going forward after that point? And when did somebody do something that if you had a book about game mastering advice, that it's like, if it doesn't include something on this issue or this question or this idea, then it is incomplete. You look for those guys. And
do you know that old video, Jeffro, of like it was like 2009, and this guy was at this hippie festival, and he was out on this hill, like this grassy knoll, like just dancing by himself, and then slowly the crowd just started dancing along with him, and then like by the end of the video, everyone on this hill, it was like 100 people were all dancing, and it just takes like one or two people with a little bit of like courage and excitement about something that can like absolutely have ripple effects throughout the entire hobby in this extent.
Well, that would be me in 2020. I was that guy. And B-Dubs was the first person to take one-to-one time to another table, like after complaining about it for a year. So yeah, I'd say based on B-Dubs, who's not here to defend himself, when your players whine about something good that is going to pay off down the road, just remember B-Dubs. He even had to apologize for Axe. Okay, he even had to apologize for how Axe got in the way of us continuing to uncover these techniques and ideas.
Yeah, have fun with your little side RPGs, but it always comes back to this bad boy right here.
It does. It does. It's
it really does. The thing that's so different about AD&D is that a lot of other games, I mean, even if they would steal all the things that work and would therefore be a functioning system, AD&D knows what it is. Like you can tell by inference, by reading between the lines, by seeing how Gary organized things. You can tell that he understands. Like when we talk about your campaign as a Braunstein that's spread out over time, he clearly understands that. He wrote the book to adjudicate that exact process. And none of these other RPG, I mean, like for example, Traveler, I love Traveler. It's a cool system. You can do just about anything with Traveler, including, a sort of true contender game, but it clearly was not written with that intent, with that intuitive understanding of the game as an ongoing Braunstein. Yeah.
Well, no, you would have let me tell you about Traveler. I had some Traveler supplements when I was a kid that were on the closeout table, and I was fascinated with this game. I just had like double adventures 1 through 3, the first 3 double adventures, and supplements 1 and 2, and I was like, "What the heck is this game?" It's fascinating. It's fascinating. And when I grew up, GURPS Traveler was the reigning edition at the time. And I was like, well, Steve Jackson, he made Car Wars, he made Ogre, he made Illuminati, he made GV, he made all this cool stuff. How could he not make this better? And but I was wading into GURPS Traveler, and I was like, what the heck do I do with this thing? Because I would sit down with somebody, and they would just do a totally random character concept. And like a martial artist, say, and I'm like, what? I'm supposed to make it, I'm supposed to, like, you want to talk about zero prep, like, I couldn't do any prep in advance based on what these people were doing, and I wasn't prepared for that yet, but so I went on the boards and stuff, and I was like, okay, what do I do with this? Because this is a giant entire universe. How do you control a game about an entire universe of worlds, right? This is before I'd read Doomers of Terra, before I'd read Flandry, before I'd read Van Renge, all of those,
Paul Anderson
things. If I'd read those things, I would have known what to do. But no, those guys told me 18. I was like, what? Have one guy that's really good at piloting things, have one guy that's really strong, have one guy that's like a master strategist, and have one guy that's like got really good social skills, and they'll go do any adventure. And I'm like, yeah, but what does that have to do with Traveler? Right?
Real revolutionary stuff.
if you were going to do Traveler, it's just like B-Dubs was saying on Natural Ones the other day, or like a week ago. If you've got 2 people in your group that roll up a character with a spaceship, then you're done. Any other conventional role play group will be like, well, one of these guys have to like have a ship and the other guys have to be the crew. But like, if you lean into that and be like, no, we're going to have one campaign, one subsector, and these two ships are going to go off and do their separate thing, and we're going to coordinate with some kind of timekeeping system.
That doesn't go far enough. Everyone gets a ship. Everyone.
Okay. Well, all right. Now you're talking. Like, and why not? Like, why not? You got Discord, you got Twitter, you got blogs. Like, why not? Why couldn't you do that today? And why?
Honestly, today's sessions, will be like the live sessions, like sitting around and doing some kind of agreed upon adventure activity. That's only one small part of the game now. That's only one element that's part of the campaign now.
In the BroXT server, I have been helping out DMing things, and I put into the calendar, like, I'll run a dungeon crawl for you guys. I know you need some XP and gold, and then they were messaging me like, no, we want to do a joust instead. And so I ended up seat of my pants just running a Braunstein with like all these faction leaders. Like, it was 8 players and me. And yeah, we just had a joust. I got a magic item. It was super fun. And like, it had absolutely nothing to do with getting the ruby.
Okay, wait, do you know, like, in 2023, that would never have happened at all that year at all. And like, now it's like, oh wait, Scooty's hosting a jousting. Yeah, we know. Like, it's like you're running a Traveler Braunstein and someone wants to have a cotillion or a space dance. You just know it's going to happen. And or there's a funeral. You're like, oh, there's a funeral, and everybody's like, we all want to go.
Yeah, right. Don't invite Dunder.
Right. Well, I mean, the thing is like, if I'm going to play a faction leader, like, how can I actually get people to do something? And yeah, I mean, I could like I don't know, like offer a magic item to go into the dungeon and get this thing for me. Like that's cool and everything, but what's going to actually like lead people to get together? And I was reading Eyes of the Overworld, and
Perfect.
there's this like market festival at the very beginning of the story where like these magic users are coming to buy trinkets and stuff. And I was like, oh, I'll just have like a festival, I'll throw a party or something. And I had upset some of the other factions, so I was like, as a means to make amends, I'm gonna throw a party. And I told B-Dubs, I was like, this is exactly what it sounds like. I have no ill intentions, I don't know what's gonna happen here. I'm gonna give them a reason to come and see what they do with it.
No, that happened like the Braunstein event ran in July 2021. It was the first time that like I consciously did some kind of big Braunstein thing. There were like armies moving around the board. There was Elric was a character straight out of deities and demigods, and you had just crazy stuff at play. A grandfather of assassins was like left in charge of Trollopulous while Elric was going to go trade with the cavemen. Crazy. And James Streisand was playing these Tharks with a skiff, like from like Return of the Jedi, just cruising across the map. And but no, like by the second week of the event, these players were all like, oh, we want to have a party in Trollopulous. And like the 22nd level sorceress went to the event with the Goblin King as her date, and with frog men attendants and everything. And there was this whole thing, and nothing ever came of it, but like there was this whole thing about the Goblin King has to wear a yellow robe, like somehow, like there was all this. I didn't even know what was going on, but like somehow, but yeah, no, it's I still don't know what was going on because nobody told me what happened. All I could do was adjudicate what people told me I would know about, as a referee, but it was weird. It was weird, but no, people want to talk to each other. They want a chance to foist a scheme, be involved in a scheme, and double cross somebody, and set something up. And even if it doesn't,
well, there's something about it too that if you're role playing, like if you're a faction leader and you're role playing, there is historical precedent for these, bringing together everybody at a party, so that you can do some kind of scheme. I mean, people even in the late medieval times, you see people like kings feuding over, like your cows are wandering into my pastures or whatever, and they'll throw one of them will throw a tournament, and they'll try to. It's like a kind of a peace offering or a sort of informal negotiation opportunity, and they may even if they decide against it, they may even just like battle it out, and they'll say, well, whoever wins is right about this issue or something like that. There's a historical precedent for all this too. It's just a sound strategy.
if it was me, I would get all of my worst enemies together in one place and then orchestrate something happened that would like really embarrass them all at once. That's what I would do.
Okay, guys, I feel like maybe this is a little insider baseball. So like my channel is the analytics. I have 35-year-old to about 60 are my people. Most of the people though are 30 to 35, and they never played these old school games, but they are very interested. They come to my channel to learn like mechanics because they don't understand, how to do a reaction check or, how to litigate a dungeon turn, right? So can we describe what a campaign looks like that we're talking about and we understand because we play in them, but somebody who's on the outside looking in, like if they wanted to set this up for themselves, where should they start? And like, what do the different tiers of play look like? Can we get into that?
Right. Well, Thule, I tapped you because you could explain this to a broader audience than I could. Like literally, I mean, I blundered into this stuff, but it's always been somebody else that's explaining it to the masses. Like it's James Streisand was explaining the time stuff on that one video that he did. And Crossface is coming up with like these slogans that short circuit the programming of the average role player. But like, yeah, you know, that's not my bag. Like, Thule, please help me out.
I mean, you know, just the shortest thing I can say, the shortest answer to that question is kind of not enough, because it's very simply that when you're role playing, you are engaging in activity in an imagined second world where everybody is kind of that second world is shared among everybody. And playing in the conventional way, the world aspect of it is a fake. It's a prop. It's a stage where, you know, there's just like there's a DM running essentially a puppet show so that players have something to interact with. That is not the proper way to organize a campaign. The proper way to organize it is to say, okay, here's the world, here's some very basic information about it, and every time you run into something, the game mechanics, you know, they spawn things, they create things. You know, you run into something, you see a new side of it, you understand, you begin to build like a story in your head of what's going on in this place, and then you hear about something's happening elsewhere. Somebody goes off and does something, and you're like, you know, what are they doing? What are they up to? These kind of things happen naturally, and if you just let them happen, that's the biggest thing. Just let stuff happen. Let stuff happen. Let your campaign fill up with these elements, and then acknowledge. You know, you have to give room. You have to allow space to acknowledge these things as real somehow, and these are the kind of, this is like where these campaign management techniques like Gauss and Scene come in, because they help you do it in a systematic way that, although it may not be intuitive, this solves so many problems of like conveying that the activity in the game world to all the players.
Yeah, I just tapping on with that, like if you saw that third Indiana Jones movie, I'm hoping this is accessible, but like there's that scene where like you know, there's a cavern that he's got to traverse, and he just closes his eyes and he puts one foot out, and then, you know, whoa, there was an illusion that was covering the bridge, little footpath across the chasm, and he could do it. But like when you look at an RPG from the 1970s, you're going to look at it and your initial impulse is going to be, there's nothing there. There's not enough game here for this to work.
Yes.
And what I want to tell you is everything that you look at in these old games and you think, oh, that's silly. That's silly. I could make up a much better rule than that.
Mm-hmm.
Those rules in those old games aren't the way they are just to confound you or to annoy you or to insult your intelligence. They developed the way that they were because of like a lot of heavy use with large numbers of players. And like for the people that are skeptical of what we do in the BrOSR, you know, a lot of people, they're like, oh, I don't want to do awesome things the way the BrOSR does. I want to do a really crappy campaign with 2 or 3 people that meets about every 3 months because that's all the time I have. Listen, I want to address that argument head on. The things that work really, really well for large groups like ours also work really well for small groups. And if you are in a small group and
they're so much easier as well.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
If you're using these ideas in a small group, I got news for you. It's not going to stay a small group. You know,
yes,
isn't, because success just like keeps bringing people and they keep sticking around, and so having faith that an RPG rule that looks like hot garbage, just having the faith that it can actually work. This is the biggest thing. Well, for 5 years, I argued with people about whether or not these rules work or whether or not they were significant or how they were meant to be applied to a game.
Mm-hmm.
Like the biggest thing that I would say about the people who don't get it is they don't believe it can work. And they to the point where they won't try. They can't imagine the rules working just
Yes.
naturally. Just one small
Jeffro,
caveat I would put on that is TSR. The tagline on the products back in the day was products of your imagination.
hmm
And if these games are going to work well, you need a group of people that are imaginative. And I think the best way to feed your imagination is to read a lot of short novels that were published before 1980. Now, you could say maybe I'm biased on that because of my field of special expertise. But if you're looking at classic RPGs, they were developed in a very particular type of intellectual and cultural environment. And if you replace the literary inspirations with stuff like Japanese cartoons or blockbuster movies, you're not thinking about the same kind of story beats that the people who made these games took for granted. And that's another area where you're liable to just see these games are silly, is because they are built on a fundamentally different concept of fantasy or science fiction than what you take for granted. Yeah, but let it work. Let the rules work for you. Don't look for reasons to throw out the rules you don't like or don't understand. Let the game help you make a successful model of a fantasy world is the way to get the good results.
hmm
How many referees?
Hold on,
do
before you ask
suggest?
that,
Okay.
before we get to that, that's a good question. But I was going to pick up on a point Jeffro made. This is really important, especially if you are unsure how to make this happen, or you're skeptical of whether this can happen. Jeffro said something like, you look at these old books and you think, well, there's not enough there. It appears as if maybe there's not enough there to make all this happen. People, can read, like, for example, if you read the absurdly long campaign report I wrote about Drakenheim, you might say, well, how can these books, it must take a mountain of books to make something like that happen, right? That's how the market is set up. That's how the advertisers have got into your brain to make you think, oh, I need to buy this module. I need to add this module to my campaign. I need to add this adventure in there. I need to add that. There is so much in the books. There's so much in the books, just in the core experience, just in the, you go somewhere and an encounter happens, and the way that it unfolds tells you about the world. There's so much that I promise you will not even be able to keep track of it.
And you use everything. Like when you play a real campaign, the rules sections that you're like, when am I going to need that? Who uses that? No one ever played that. People have told me, like,
go ahead.
People have told me countless times that nobody played that way, but no, there's in the AD&D rules and the OD&D rules and the Traveler rules, there's rule sections in there that I'm like, nobody ever used that at the table. Like, no way. If you run a campaign in the way that those guys in the 1970s understood campaigns to be, then you use everything. And there'll be people using stuff all over the map all the time. And every week you'll be using a rule that you that you thought you would never need to know.
And your players can help you with this stuff. Like, for example, during the joust, like the Mind Flayers were using psionics against the Green Dragon to like sabotage him and keep him from winning, and they were successful. And the thing is like, what I know about psionics is how to roll up a psionics character. And so I was like, if you guys are going to do this, you need to know how to do this. And so like they're kind of coaching me and teaching me about psionics now. Now I have to go back to the player's handbook and learn it, or relearn it anyway.
Yeah, no, and in Trollopulous we had Macho Mandoff played by Chris in Australia, and it's just like, just tell me how that worked out. Yeah. No,
how did that work?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say there's another side to what I was saying about there's more than enough in the book. There's so much in the book that you won't even be able you'll lose control of the game quickly. It'll get out of your hands. It'll
No,
become its own
we're not
thing.
dying for more supplements. Like
Yeah.
what we
There's
needed
another
5 years.
there's another side to this, which is players can look at a really big campaign with a ton of stuff going on, and they think, oh, that must take a lot of work. You must, whatever you put into it is what you get out of it. And it is not like that. The game does everything. Just running the procedures, playing in the way that Gary prescribes allows everything to happen with the minimum fuss, with the minimum, you're not like, what am I trying to say? You're not like becoming a CPA for your campaign or whatever. There's not like a mountain of work. You're not like sitting here writing out a novel to see what your character is going to do next. Nothing like that ever happens. Things just happen. That's how the game is organized. It's organized to make things happen and to allow things to happen. And you will get an explosive, huge campaign as soon as you start running things this way. It'll sneak up on you and it'll explode. It'll get out of your control very rapidly.
1000%, bro.
It's just the same. Yeah, it's just a little bit of work.
In an OD&D where it says, once your campaign gets going, you're going to have people going in several directions at once, at different time periods, and it's like,
no one ever played that way.
And I mean that's why to have the time rules as sort of like the basis of the campaign in the first place, because there's no way you could keep all this stuff that just naturally happens. You couldn't keep it together unless you could place things in time.
But Gary didn't say in there that
it's not in the book.
He didn't say when this happens, the game will run itself. Right? What did Gary actually do? He told Judges Guild, like, oh, you guys want to make supplementary products for this game that doesn't need them? Go ahead. Right. And then they're like pumping out all these supplements and modules and adventures. And Gary's like,
he's in Hollywood.
Like, what happened? Like, what's going on? So I think he didn't know that everybody thought his game was incomplete. He thought it worked as is. And then he was baffled when everybody wanted to play it wrong and spend a lot of money on a bunch of junk that they didn't need. That was just baffling. But
and that's why
he never spelled it out that if you've got people going in every which direction trying to do different things, that this is going to lead to very interesting conflicts that are more exciting to play out than anything you're going to buy from Judges Guild. He needed to say that.
Who is this grimy son of groin? Yes, this should help. I had 8 patron players last year, but 2 of them wore me out while the others did very little. That can happen. It quickly turned into a get-along gang at the domain level, all against me. Who are you? Who is this? This sounds terrible. This sounds absolutely.
If you ever wondered, why is B-Dub so mean to patron players? It's because of this. And no, when I ran my first big Braunstein event, everybody turtled on the first turn, and I'm like, I'm not running that. I just told them I'm not running that. There may be things that we don't know about how to set these things up yet. It's fine because I'm the first person in a long time to ever do this.
Yeah, what's really interesting? What's really interesting about Scene is that I thought we would have this problem in Dragonheim as it got bigger. I thought we would have this problem, but it never even happened. It never happened at all. People were too suspicious about the interaction of others, one-upping them and things like that. Everybody was way too suspicious. They were, even when you were working with somebody, when you were in alliance with somebody, it was like, well, we have to keep an eye on these guys to make sure they're keeping up their end of the bargain, kind of thing. And I think that was mostly just because of Scene, because it was like any diffusive, or what am I trying to say? Any sort of self-serving, resource extracting activity that seemed too easy made you look like a juicy morsel to everybody else.
And Bayros Books is sitting around. He's going to read all of those Scene reports, start to finish, and then deconstruct what actually happened. based on the clues, and
I mean,
then he's going to kill you with a set of spell rule violations that should not be possible, and you'll have no way to escape. And the reason that you died is because he analyzed the rumors and figured out how to kill you without giving you a chance to get out of it. That's how that goes.
Pre-Goss and Scene, I actually had players very angry about the results of other people's downtime. Like, this city got invaded and destroyed, and they didn't know about it until the last minute. And like, they were just like, what is the point of even trying? Because I can never know what's going to happen anytime. And so, like, it really, I mean, it absolutely answers so many issues that are self-evident if you play games.
No. When in Trollopulous in 2022 and going into 2023, I know Fluid the Druid had this guy with the Shield of Nurgle, ostensibly running around the map during downtime, building like a massive army and up to something really cool. And it was always like, well, someday something really cool is going to happen because he's got this thing here, and it's like, yeah, but nobody knows about it. And then, like, there was this other time when Macho Mandoff like sprung on us in the middle of a very exciting game session that, like, oh, by the way, I've put together a cadre of psionically powered characters, you know, and downtime based on the wilderness encounters and the wilderness clearing rules and the AD&D DMG. And it's like, oh, you know, there should have been hints and clues about both of those titanically awesome things going out week to week in some kind of news bulletin. There absolutely should have been. And it would have influenced the way, you know, every game session we started back then was started with a 30-minute conversation of like, what part of the map should we play on? What should we do? Those rumors would absolutely have altered every decision that everybody else would have made. And it's a shame that we had such great ideas, and yet they were just neutral because there was no visibility on like the second order effects of like what the downtime plots were doing.
People would like the fog of war was too thick and the wrong way.
People would lose interest in what was going on before we could capitalize on the creativity of the players.
Fog of War is absolutely the most interesting aspect of what we do, but it can suffocate it without these answers. So
yeah, well, if you think about it, it's interesting because when you come into a campaign and you don't know, you're brand new to the campaign, it's been ongoing for a while, you don't really know, you know, you're not that familiar with the other players or the events that are happening. Imagine coming into that and just blank, no extra information, like even stuff, there's so many things that your character would know that you just cannot be filled in on. And this is kind of like an obvious problem if somebody has run a campaign for a long time and they got a new player coming in. It's kind of an obvious, like, how do you actually onboard somebody into the game? And this is just one of those things that Scene just magically, invisibly solves. You know, you don't even realize it. Don't even realize that it's happening.
Well, no, just knowing that things are happening because of player activity is interesting in and of itself. Like, because if you compare that with the default way of people doing it 3-4 years ago, like, you would just hand them this giant campaign map, and you didn't even know where any of the interest, where the activity was actually happening. Right. There were.
Is it true? That's the best part. Like, you could spend so much of your resources getting to the spot just to be ambushed because what you thought this rumor was actually was the exact opposite, and everybody's working against you this whole time. So excited! It's so fun.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think I interrupted your point, dude. I'm sorry about that.
Well, back to you though.
That's like what's happening right now in our Umbros game. It's just like, man, I don't know. B-Dubs he's trying to mess with. I feel like it's all directed to trick me. All this news network stuff. I'm like, yeah, this is aimed at me. I know.
No, this is really cool. He's not here to accept our put downs, but he's also not here to accept our praise either. But having James Streisand run Braunstein sessions and give capsule reviews of like, here's what's happening at the faction tier, and then with Dunder, I mean, I know he's got a lot of room to grow as a dungeon master. He still like cares about feelings
yeah.
and stuff. But no,
Doing that.
he's got that going, and then like, scene, like the significance of scene broke really big, and he was like, you know what, I'll just use it right now
Yep.
to improve my campaign and like see how it fits in with these other ideas. Like, that's really powerful. And I've said it earlier tonight, like the other people that are experimenting with this, or like riffing off of our results, I don't see evidence of significant play testing. I mean, I see good ideas and good, design work, but like the development occurs in play test, and especially blind play test. And that is the most exciting thing about Serious DM, because like I was done. I mean, I was out of it. I was just completely gone. And then like the ideas that me and my friends put together, like, especially with BrOSR, we kind of like put a bow on top of it. You know, to find out.
Dreckenheim really got to start with BrOSR, like the
somebody took BrOSR and then Umbros, and then like kept building on that, is just crazy. It's like I don't even have to defend my ideas. Like, they get better even when me not doing anything. Like, it's just so awesome.
And Serious DM, like he was on the stream with you guys. I don't remember, was it like Dunders? But he looks exactly like the Chad meme.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I was like, our dudes are like, we have the most brilliant minds, the most handsome dudes. Like, we are crushing it. And then I look at the opposition, and everybody's like giving them like so much oxygen, like opening up all the windows so they can like come into our space and like tell us how we're doing everything wrong, and then not give any kind of interesting alternatives. I'm just like, I see you, and I can see all like the jiggling happening at every angle. And then I see my guys with literal Chad chin.
That dude's a class act. He like, and he's nice to everyone. And all these people who like don't always treat us that well, he's like, no, you come on. He's nice to those people that don't have the capacity to treat you as well as you would like. It's not it's really I'm glad we got somebody out front that is just so disciplined and so discerning, and just has it together. There's not a greater amount of praise that a creator could get for his work than that really cool people have decided it was cool. So I won.
Dude.
I won.
Yeah, you win, dude. You win.
There's no one cooler.
I do have a message for Serious DM. I heard that you're coming for my Bro-American title. You're gonna need to step up. If you wanna step to this, you're gonna need to come to Umbros and run some games, man. Come and get it. Sorry, that was a little personal exchange there, little promo. Come get it. The Bro-American title is mine, and I'm not letting it go.
No, that's the thing. We haven't talked Scooty, but like we got to do last. I saw the essays. You took that. You took that essay bracket. Did you beat Crom? Like, how did you?
I beat everybody. I don't know.
Okay, so if you took Crom, that's hardcore. I don't know how you pulled that off. That's impressive.
Yeah. Just reading a bunch of Appendix N. Yeah.
Okay, that's the secret of the strength.
Yeah.
But no, just a few weeks ago, it was before Scene had broken, and I think in Umbros, Dubs had said like, oh, for downtime orders, I allow 2 diffusion orders for every convergent order, and then you were running your game, and you were like, I know what I'm going to do. How about 0 diffusion? How about like, no, you can't just take a random NPC and sacrifice them to the druid gods. You have to take someone that somebody's playing, And
those guys,
it was good results because
those guys, they talked about that one session, I think, for 2 weeks straight. They made like multiple streams. They were like, we gotta talk about this some more. This is revolutionary. I was like, all I did was what Jeffro did to me. I told you no, and you're gonna try something.
But no, but like with scene though, it's like the referee doesn't have to be as big of a butthead anymore.
That's true.
I hope. I mean, like by all accounts, that's the way it's working.
I
Like,
haven't. I mean, so far we've been it's been in action since the beginning, and I have not seen a problem. I mean, I've not. Maybe Sirius could think of something, but I have not run into something where I was like, well, somebody's going way off into outer space or whatever with this. I haven't seen anything like that.
And now let me say this, like like you'll have awesome developments and great things happening. And like, no matter how awesome it is, there's always going to be one guy who's like, well, let me say the one thing, the obvious thing that I can say that's bad about this. Like they will always show up. And you like, and as far as like nice things being said, like total crickets, like it's not happening. But like people are gonna complain like, why are you guys using these acronyms and not explaining them and blah blah blah? And it's like, bro, this is a completely organic group of hobbyists that are doing very time-consuming experiments that they don't know what the results are going to be until like a year down the road or until
you
serendipity
don't
strikes.
understand. You don't understand what you have in your hands.
And if
later.
somebody figures out something cool and it solves a problem for them, and then other people can use it, like, man, we let those guys name it whatever they wanted, and then we use that name because they figured it out and it's made our game better, and like, why wouldn't we give them the credit for it?
I think the thing that annoys me is when people are like, well, you should explain this to me in plain language in the way that my conventional that makes sense to me in my conventional zombie mind. And I'm like,
can't communicate.
This is like going to the guy that's working on the space shuttle and asking him to explain, how they like the rocket fuel conversion stages or whatever in a plain English. But like, get out of here, man! Like you have no idea what we're talking about.
You gotta wait. Well, you gotta wait 2 years. Some of those people have to wait 2 years. They have to wait until everybody else has come to grips with the fact that we have moved the state of the art forward, and it takes 2 years. It takes 2 years and a lot of copycat videos. It takes a lot of people plagiarizing this stuff. I'm looking forward to people plagiarizing Scene and Goss though. That's going to be great.
Yeah, I think like if you look at this like 1-to-1 time and Scene, if you just go with those and you just like close your eyes to everything else. If you implement 1-to-1 time and take it seriously, and you implement Scene and take it seriously, that will catapult your game into another galaxy.
Yeah.
Just that. It's like,
and
it's just
when you
automatic.
do that, you'll see that like there are like docketing really does help whenever you start running those situations, because there is a lot like in the joust, there was some things I wanted to resolve. The combat when Ferrigno was like flying away with the princess, I was like, I don't think we can do this right now. We've been here for a couple hours, so I mean, docketing is actually a very useful tool. But you're right, the fundamentals, Scene, 1-to-1 time, let go, just let go.
Yeah. Wow. No, and nobody writing before the year 2020 saw this coming. Nobody saw this coming.
Yeah, you don't see people talking about this stuff. I mean, even the even like back in the day when people, like when Arneson was running Blackmoor, these ideas were so new and people were running on intuition, and they were like, well, this makes sense to me in this way, like from this like sand table wargaming perspective, and you're like running on intuition. There's nobody sitting down and reflecting on what is happening in a game design sense. There's nobody sitting down and saying, well, why does this work this way? They're just like, well, I think it'll work if we do this. They're following their intuitions from years and years of practice making things happen. And I was going to say that, what Jeffro has commented several times about how the Drakkenheim guys just do it different. There's no like random static. It's because they don't care about how should I put this? They only care about making the campaign work. They're like, we like what we're doing here. Yeah, we like what we're doing here. We want it to work better. We're going to try this and see if it works better. Like that's been the process the whole way.
This is exciting.
No, and everybody else is like, oh, well, Braunstein isn't really a central idea to the implementation of a successful D. It's just a parlor LARP. It doesn't really like, bro, like what? Like, why do you got to be like that, man? Like,
honestly, I'm really tired of the old BrOSR. I really am. Like, I'm not gonna, counter signal, but like I post this really cool, interesting thing that I'm working with, and then it's just like these dudes who played in Brovenloft 5 years ago, and they've been riding the coattails of that for 5 years. Like, move on. We're working on this new stuff. Like, I get it. You guys had your thing back then. Nobody cares anymore.
Oh no.
Sorry, I said it. Yeah, no, but I mean, like, a lot of those guys I do appreciate. But like, there's just like some of them that are stuck in 2000.
Yeah, one thing that here's something that gets on my nerves. When we're talking about, okay, we are talking on a conceptual level about abstract concepts, the form of things, the way they work, the way they fit together, and these kind of things. And you want to come in and argue over the term, that like the label that I'm using for the concept. Like, get out of here.
Right,
you had your 5 years ago. Just get out of here.
Yeah, we're doing something else now. We're on a different island.
No, well, like it's like you have to be.
Jeffro's over here trying to maintain relationships. Like,
no,
it's
you have to be playing an ambitious enough game that you run into the same problems that we have. The reason we're not excited just because of like, oh, we're not, those guys are really good. Oh, look what they did over there. It's like, no, we've had this.
Yeah, it's like, imagine what's going to happen next year. Yeah.
Right. We're building and building. It's like this becoming this like mech of everybody's contributions to this hobby, and it's so fun. Everything we're doing is so fun. And like,
I mean, there are things happening in Drakenheim right now. So we went to a new stage, let's say, of the campaign, and the world was destroyed. Spoiler alert. We're moved to a new stage of the campaign, and we're trying like a game that is its organization is so big, and there's so much stuff going on, and we're trying all these new land resource mechanics and things like that to inform the domain game, so that the faction leaders have a more concrete way to interact and way to understand the value of places and agreements and things like that. And we're doing stuff that I would have difficulty describing on a conceptual level. But I am interested to see, like, next year, what will I think about it? That's the kind of stuff that you can't do unless you are fixing the central problems that come up when your games like get this explosively big.
Crossface was taking me to task today. He was telling me that like with all the missteps that we made, and like you should never have like called it total nonstop Braunstein. I'm sorry, and it's like, man, we were like, I mean, we were struggling for our we weren't at the communication stage. We were not in a PR stage. We had like just like Scooty Mike and 11 other people had run session Braunsteins, and it's like, what are the implications of this? And me and Dubs are on a show on Dundermoose, and he just busts out like randomly, like, I was thinking like, well, what if we did a session Braunstein about every 3 or 4 months in order just to keep things under control? And like Dubs was like, no, what if every week was a Braunstein? What if it was like 5 different types of Braunstein at once? Like what are you going to?
Okay, so that comes back to my last question then. How many refs does one of these campaigns need? Because if you are running a singular ref and the players want to level up in the dungeon, the standard, typical D&D, what people see when they think of D&D, session after session, he's getting tied into one thing. So how many refs do you need if you want to have these Braunsteins every week? Because let me rewind a little bit. Whenever I did Summer of Stein, I was so excited about the idea of like this challenge that I wanted to like participate. I had no idea what I was doing. And after I was done, I was like, man, I don't know if I could do another one of these for months. And now I'm at the point where like, I don't even prepare. I just like show. I'm just like, oh, okay, it happened. We're doing this. Okay, let's go. Everybody log in, you know? So yeah. So how many refs do we need for the people who watch my channel who don't know how to get started? Is a singular ref enough?
Dang. Like
I think that's I'm going to reject the premise of that question and say that I'm going to say this. So when things really get going, you need your players to be good at the game. You know, you need like some standout players to step up. And whenever a situation happens, like let's say between players A and B, you need player C to say, okay, well, you know what, I'm available Wednesday night. We can do this docketed battle or whatever. Exactly. Just step up and do it. Yeah. Just you know the rules of the game. You know how to play it. Just it's like stay within the boundaries or guidelines of your campaign manager's milieu, right? And that's it. That's all you got to do.
And this
so I reject that question.
Is the worst thing to happen to RPGs, in my opinion, is when Gygax put that stuff in the DMG about anyone who looks in here deserves death. Anyone that's a player that looks in the DMG. It's like every single interview with these old gray-haired dudes that played with Gary back in the day, they all say the same stuff. They're like, no, Gary didn't play by the AD&D rules. No, he absolutely didn't. And then they'll go off. And now I respect these guys. I mean, they were there at the foundations of the hobby, and they're really cool.
I don't.
Okay, well, I don't either. Okay, I'm lying. They're chicken. They're all chicken. They won't even talk.
Trying to be nice.
They won't even meet you on the field of battle.
Exactly. No, but like they will describe things that are consistent with the AD&D rules, and they don't even know that what I think it was like Luke Gygax was talking about how like forgive me if I got the wrong guy. But you know, somebody with the name of Gygax was talking about how like, weapon versus AC, like we didn't use that with monsters, and it's like, bro, that's the rule. Like, you know, the weapon versus AC is for human troops fighting other human troops in kind of like wargaming type scenarios.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you know, you tend not to need to use it in a typical dungeon crawl situation.
I think the funniest thing is people bring that up. It's like that doesn't even make sense.
But no, they will describe AD&D rules being adjudicated and not even know, because they haven't read it either. And so
they haven't read the books. That's really what it comes down to. They haven't read the books.
No, and then there was only one group of people to ever try to play that game, and it's my group. That's the only group to ever try. This is the only thing we know that is objectively true about RPG history, is because I've been told by everyone that no one ever, not even Gygax, used those rules. So I have to, we were the first by definition.
I don't know, Jeffro. I'm pretty sure we always played that way. We just never came across any of the issues that the BrOSR
Tell me when I first started using one-to-one time. Tell me when I started. How do you know when I started using one-to-one time?
I don't even know why you're in this chat right now.
No, well,
who are you?
One-to-one
Jeffro, do you even know my zodiac sign?
No, I don't. But no, I don't think that one-to-one time, as it has propagated, and as like James Streisand explained it, if you look in like, I would say like Takumiel, like the Empire of the Petal Throne, the stuff that M.A.R. Barker is talking about, that we don't do anything the way he said. Like we would look at what
he plays the game. He plays the game very differently.
We would look at his time and rules instructions and be like, that's a lot of work for something that you could do. It would be way simpler if you just did it. You would never have to explain it to anyone if you did it the way Jeffro said to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I
think Gygax was aware of that too, because if you see his description of the section on timekeeping and like why it's important and why you have, Yeah, he says it's the best practice. He doesn't say this is the only way that you can possibly keep up with this stuff, because I think he was aware of, you know,
No,
like the
I've heard countless.
Yeah, you can
people-
put more work on yourself. You
Yeah,
can.
right.
yeah.
No, everyone says like, well, Pendragon does it different. So, well, we're not talking about Pendragon. We're talking about D&D.
Yeah. I think it's so crazy how people are like, guys, look, if it's Friday the 20th in game, it's Friday the 20th in the world. I mean, how hard is that? It's so easy. Why would
It
you
gives
do
you
something
chances
really
to like do like
complicated?
really fun stuff with like the seasons, with like holidays. Like you can let people train and not have to keep track of it. It's like it's so much easier because like the thief is gonna train. He's gonna be training when everybody else. What, we're gonna just wait? Let's all wait on this evil guy that we don't want to play with. Like, we're not even sure why he's in the party, but we're gonna all wait and just stand around for the next 4 days while he finishes up his
You
training.
know that 15 years from now, Fluid the Druid is going to say, "Oh yeah, the trollops that I took from Trollopulous, I have all of their children now, and they've all grown up, and I have an army of trollop children descendants in my druid sect now." He's going to be. They're going to be interviewing him 20 years from now, and he's going to be talking about this in his 40-year campaign. Oh, thank you. Thank you. No, you haven't persuaded anybody of the truth of your ideas until no one is capable of misunderstanding it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But no. The ideas they're disseminating. Like the people, the haters aren't having an effect anymore. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how they can. I mean, they can't argue with the scale of this success. I mean, you're talking hundreds of people using this all the time, and people using this when they play in a campaign like this, they learn everything they knew in order to run a campaign like this of their own if they want to. And so, no one actually likes conventional play. They buy the books, but I don't think they play them, and then certainly there's nobody excited about it.
I mean, that's why nobody wants to. That's why everybody
boring.
cancels. They're like, "Oh, I can't make it this week. I have, my show's on or whatever."
Yeah. No, I think honestly, like I relate so much to what Jeffro said, and maybe another stream about how everything's just so boring. You get on YouTube and they're just saying like, buy this product because like, buy this module. This module will be the new thing. And this was old hat. Like, people were tired of this 5 years ago. So like, when are these people going to catch up? Like, nobody is.
Yeah,
you're wasting your
I mean,
time.
there should be. That's such a good point, because there should be like a equivalent of the Drakenheim AAR that I wrote, basically every week. Like, we should just be, make 8 hours of YouTube videos about your campaign, explaining all the crazy stuff that happened. I mean, people love that. People are still telling me even now that they will just find me on Twitter and be like, "Oh my gosh, I just read that. That was the craziest thing I've ever seen."
No, you had that guy right.
I would kill to be in a campaign, or blah blah.
That guy, you had that guy respond, right? And like that's
he joined our campaign.
Is like where all of these people with YouTube shows that we know personally, that we know they know what 1-to-1 time is, they know all about it, they know about raw, they know about zero prep, they've had all this stuff, but like where was the oxygen for scene if it wasn't me or Thule or B-Dubs beating the drum on that? Why do we have to go to our journalist class and say, hey, this is important? Like what's up with that? Like, why
this is why you don't like me, Jeffro?
Yeah, it irritates me that I have to be the one to say what's important, because everybody hates my guts, and I'm tired of all the flack I take. But no, and you saw it. You saw Random Table just a few weeks ago. You were surrounded by all these low energy people, like, oh, not all of my players like 1-to-1 time, and you had like, oh no, I'm playing a story game about being inside the head of an insane detective, and
So, okay, let me in his defense, let me tell you that he is sorry. And he wants to reach out to you. He told me that he wants to fix things. He wants to mend the bridge. I will advocate for him here. I don't know if you've heard from other sources.
But that show, I mean, do you realize, I mean, I'm telling you, man, how low energy that show was. And everybody was like, oh yeah, isn't it amazing that we all got brought together because of the BrOSR, and now we've kind of all gone our separate ways.
Well, I don't know. Me and Dunder are still gaming together. We're good. We're co-DMing. So
okay, well, it just kind of like, it was like, I was watching that. I was like, you guys have no idea what's coming. It was fun. No, it was funny. It was funny. It was like,
fair enough. No, I love my random tables people.
Okay, all right.
To get back on the previous topic, I do think it is a huge, like, the YouTube guys are so obviously starving for content. Play a campaign, put together a real campaign. There will be more content. I mean, you can make a whole other channel and just fill it with the stuff that's going on in your campaign. It's insane. It's honestly it would be too much work.
That's how you know. That's how you know no one's doing it. Like, they have time to cut a video and they have time to plagiarize the bros, but like, they never use it. Like, they never have anything insightful to add about it because
How many videos are there one-to-one time, but people are not talking about the stuff that's happening because of it?
Hello, Cirsova, by the way. Welcome.
Cirsova
he's busy drawing.
He's drawing. He doesn't even want to be here. He's mad that we want to do more books.
Oh, by the way, I have a question about winning secrets, which is why we are here today, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just now joining, we're talking about the revolutionary book, Winning Secrets. Did Scene make it into the book?
No, that's like that broke big, and it was like, dang it, we have to do a sequel because I was going to tell Cirsova, I was going to tell P. Alexander, like, I want to put like a page in the back that says Jeffro left the hobby and he had no idea that all of the problems that he had seen were about to be solved by some other dude. But it would vindicate him. It would vindicate me because I've said it before. You're going to get tired of hearing it. I said D&D is a Braunstein. And there's a lot of people who can say, oh, well, that doesn't mean anything, blah, blah, blah. You're using the word, you redefine it. It's like, no, D&D is a Braunstein. And I had everybody running session Braunsteins and the Summer of Steen. I mean, I didn't make them do it. They were excited about it. But the idea is like, if we understand Braunstein, then we'll understand D&D campaigns. And there's a lot of people who'll be like, well, that's not actually how it is. And it's like, well, maybe that's not actually, the history of the form, but the
truth of the matter is in there. Yeah,
the gameplay dynamics of Braunstein will give you insight into what is going on in the campaigns, what's causing them to drag, what's causing them to collapse, what's causing stress, and
not only that, but this insight explains the organization of the AD&D books, all the things that seem mysterious and that seem like, why would he include that in here? The questions that he randomly answers that seem unintuitive. Like, why would he even address these points? It's because he wrote this book so that you could adjudicate what we call a Braunstein.
But you look at Doomstone Crom came up with Goss. Because of a problem he saw in session Braunsteins. And a lot of us ran session Braunsteins without thinking this. So when he came up with that idea, and all of us that had run one were like, oh yeah, no, this absolutely addresses a pain point that we have in session Braunsteins. And none of us saw it. Or like, nobody saying at the time, arguing about BrOSR stuff was like, hey, I bet this will be the key to solving campaign scale problems, right? Somebody had to do it for a year. After they did it for a year, then it was obvious, right? Then it was like, oh, well, obviously this would be the key. Your fog of war is out of control, right? It's like, yeah, but where were everyone criticizing me for redefining Braunstein, right? And you got to give me the credit here. How long did David Wesley go without writing a book about Braunstein? Like, how long did he go? I mean, like, really? If that was like the hottest idea in gaming, like, where is it? Where's the book? You know, why did it get left to us to write the first book to say, no, this is critically important? While the people who had access to these people from the dawn of the hobby, like, were just like being dorks the entire time, every time we came up with something new. Like, you can't explain that. You can't explain that unless we completed what the Blackmore bunch left undone.
Yes, exactly. And I was going to say the funniest, I mean, the saddest and dumbest thing about all this is that if you look on reflection, of course, that it was no way anybody could have seen this at the time. But if you look at the experiments from 2020, like all the way up through, let's say 2024, 2025, the perspective that was recovered was very clearly, at least partially, understood by Arneson, because when he went on to make Blackmore, he called it a medieval Braunstein in exactly the same terminological sense that we are referring to it. We're not referring to David Wesley's, session, his particular game design, but the generalization of the principles that underlie that are revealed by his attempts at making that game. Arneson understood that on some intuitive level, and he ran with it, and that's how you get Blackmore. That's how you get, despite all the terms being mangled and being just ruined for years, and people say the word campaign today, it means nothing like it used to mean. People say the term role playing, it means nothing like what people used to mean back in that time.
So how do we bring it back? Because I think that this is a genuine problem, and a lot of the language that we use, we're using a different alignment language, right? So we say a campaign, people are envisioning 4 of their buddies coming over.
Yes.
They're everybody's always together all the time.
Yes.
Everything that they do is together, and they play a system. Yeah. And they play a system that they level up together. There is no difference in experience for level requisites. And so they can't conceptualize what it is that we're even referring to. So how do is that the next book? How do we bridge the gap to
no, look, that's this
open
book.
Up.
That's a good question. So Winning Secrets, to get to the answer that you were seeking earlier, the question is, what does Winning Secrets cover? It goes through the practical history and condenses the ideas down, filters them out with all the reflections that are available to us today, to give the full perspective on why this idea of D&D as a Braunstein, what it means and why it's the key to everything, why it's the key to understand even the term role in role playing. You can't understand it unless you understand this principle of the Braunstein, and that's what Winning Secrets covers. It's not it's not like the state of the art stuff is happening right now, tomorrow, next week, next month. But Winning Secrets tells you it reveals the fundamental idea, and it does explain a lot of the reason we wrote a book in the first place is because these terminological differences are vast. It takes a lot of explaining to get people to unlearn what they were looking at before and to show them the new perspective, the big campaign, the huge, unthinkably huge campaign, and not just the little adventure with your guys, going to the coffee shop or going into the cemetery or whatever.
I have to step away 1 second. Please keep going. Okay.
Well, yeah, Jeffrey, you want to pick up on that?
Okay. Well, I'm heartbroken that I can't tell Mike personally, but look, I've watched people plagiarize these ideas or take them or write entire books while some of these ideas were still half baked, and I try to think, do you just kind of shake your head and be like, well, that's how life works? They're good ideas, so of course people are going to copy and run with the ball themselves. But I think if you want things to get better for everyone, then I think you need to understand how the development process for new ideas in RPGs actually works. It was a revelation for us to see The Secrets of Blackmoor and be like, oh, I understand where all these ideas came from. And I can also use some of these precursor games to do things with my D&D games in the same way that if I know where all the literature that D&D comes from, then I can run my D&D games differently and have a better experience for everyone. Or I can understand why a rule is the way it is, and I can adjudicate it better, with fluency.
Well, like when you see the details come up in the campaign, it immediately calls to mind the things you've already read because that's where they come from in the first place. Yeah.
But I feel like even the past 5-6 years, understanding how when you and let's say it was 2023 and you saw that the BrOSR had a lot of good ideas, and so you write a book in 2023 without giving a hat tip to either Crossface or me or B-Dubs or whoever taught you, or whoever's blog you read. When you suppress the information, the documentation, and the people who actually did the work and how they solved the problem, then you're pretending like these ideas just kind of fell out of the sky, or that everyone always knew it. Then
you basically have to restart your research from zero at that point too, because you're losing all of the lessons that we've learned, and you're just taking these superficial ideas and trying to run with it.
Why wouldn't you write it? It wouldn't cost you anything to be you could have written the book anyway. I'm not David Wesley threatening to or a friend of David Wesley threatening to sue you for using a word. That's not, it's never been me. But if you had just put in the forward, by the way, I learned about this from the person whom I cannot name because the powers that be say I can't even say his name, or whatever you did. If you could have just given me a nod, or do what
Kelsey Dion did. Drop your blog link in her chat with over 1,000 people watching and say Jeffro Johnson created this idea and you should go read his blog. Do that.
I didn't see that happen. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. I was in that chat, and I think it was 1,200 people.
If you do that, and then you get the invitation to go on the interviews when no one was allowed to talk to me, if you took these ideas and pretended like they just happened, man, I don't know how you look. First, I don't know how you look at yourself in the mirror in the morning, and second, it's the fact that we won these ideas through a lot of work and through a lot of adversity and even through a lot of conflict within the group against each other, competing with each other to do the coolest thing with them, and then telling each other that they were stupid when they did something different, it's part of the story. It's part of the story, and people deserve to know. And somebody else is going to come and add something to this and make it better. Going for whoever that is, that's going to bring us some new toy to play with to make our games better. Why can't we just acknowledge who did what now? And then when someone does something cool, we celebrate them when they do it and confirm for ourselves that it works. Why does it have to be so nasty or so underhanded or so kind of weird? Like, why can't you just talk about the developments in the field like normal people are doing them, and it's good? Like, I don't understand that.
Because our
Anyway,
hobby
this
is
is one of
infested with
the
losers.
Oh,
this is a really good reason to put the book together anyway in the first place, because now there's like I said, the practical history is included, so you can see the story, you can see where it develops from all the way from the beginning. You can see the arguments levied against it. You can see the understanding, the terminological shift, the re-internalization of what these words actually mean. You can see it all happen in the book as you're guided through, the steps essentially. And the thing about what was I trying to say? Basically, like this thing about like people taking the incomplete idea or just taking the terms. Like, I have people ask me all the time, basically, like, I see you talking about Braunstein. Like, what is that? I don't know how you explain this to somebody unless you've actually done it. I don't know how you. I mean, like, you can't just read the word Braunstein and then say, oh yeah, and then go out and write BrOSR.
Right.
It
doesn't
has
happen.
surprising properties. It has surprising
Yes.
properties. It
Yes,
doesn't
and it's
work the way you
unintuitive, and it goes against the conventional. We use the term conventional play. Cirsova, there's something crazy going on with your mic, but we use the term conventional play to talk about the like this huge mass misunderstanding of role-playing games in general, and this warped approach and perspective and mindset about, when you sit down at the table, what are you even doing? Because the Braunstein conceptualization of RPGs is fundamentally different.
Yes.
And it's clarifying too. That's the other thing. It clarifies what all these terms mean and why they were used in the first place. It's very clarifying.
Yeah, no, but
I love a dungeon crawl.
There is more
exactly.
to uncover.
Yeah, no, the thing is like there are parts of D&D that are super fun. And if you do just this one thing, player versus environment, player versus dungeon master, over and over again, you will be so bored with your game after 4 sessions that you're going to start coming up with reasons why you shouldn't show up. But if you start connecting threads from 5 different players, 3 or 4 players plus the dungeon master, people are not texting you. Who are they texting? They must be texting about me. What's going on? I need to know. Can we please work together? Please. There's this excitement, this engagement, and it feeds into itself. And the dungeon master gets to kind of lean back a little bit. I think that one dungeon master is more than enough.
Yes.
To run a campaign that's probably described in Winning Secrets. I've never read the book. I did back it, but we'll get to that. I'm ready. I'm very excited for the book. But I think I know what's in it because I run these games. I talk to you guys. So,
no, even for you, like, because like, no, you've seen like Dunder go on to different shows, and he'll tell the story of the BrOSR, and like, everyone tells the story their own way, and it's like, well, let's go ahead and write the definitive origin story for the thing.
So many perspectives collapsed into the book. That's why, I mean, even for me, when I was working on it, I learned a ton. It's hard to describe, but it's basically like seeing all the perspectives together, all in one place, all at the same time, in a coherent sequence. I mean, look, you're gonna love it when you get it.
No, and
I'm ready.
And when I think the most important thing about Winning Secrets is that it's the first time in the BrOSR that 3 people cooperated and then started pulling in the same direction, right? Like,
nice.
No, I mean, it really is. So when an essay that I write goes through, B-dubs and Thule, it's just better. I think you can see that right now with that piece that's on the Kickstarter that no one's talking about because it's a secret.
I am talking about. Are you talking about the email that went out? The blog that you wrote? I read that thing. I posted about. I was like, why is nobody talking about this right now? Because this is awesome. And also, how close are we to getting the next
The next one is 8,400 words long.
Oh yeah.
And it comes at 13K.
We should be at 13, right? Guys, go back this thing.
I think it's Thule, tell me I'm exaggerating when I say this is the best thing I've ever written.
Okay, yeah. Look, no exaggeration, when I was reading this, first of all, I've read at this point everything that Jeffro has written, probably. And when I was reading this, I helped him with the first essay, and I was like, well, that was actually that was really good. I was like, this is a great topic. It's something that people haven't thought deeply about. It's something that people don't really talk about enough. The second essay, I was just like, I am in awe. I was blown away. Yeah, so
we got to get there. We got to get. How far away from 13 are we, Cirsova? We got to get there, man.
Like it's like $1,200, $1,300.
Cirsova. Oh, okay. We can get there, guys. Come on. Also, when in the what goal do we need to reach for Jeffro to bring back his Traveler campaign?
No, well, they were saying, the guys were saying for winning.
That's after the dancing lessons, I think.
Oh yeah, buddy. No, that I should write about Traveler. And there's also been interest in a sequel to Appendix N, which would cover the science fiction antecedents of Traveler, so that people can finally play this game correctly.
I about a year ago, I tweeted something along the lines of, I'm terrified that I'll never get to play in a game as fun and as exciting as that Traveler campaign ever again. I'm always the dungeon master, and I love my role. That is it's my blessing and my curse. But to be a player for a while, man, it was perfect because everything was just through text, and then you gave us a day and a half or so to make sure our orders were sent in, and being overseas, that's more than enough for me. It was perfect. And the whole day I'm at work just texting about everybody else. So we didn't know what was going to happen until your results came in, but everybody's like, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? It was just so fun. Oh, I love being a player.
That was and going back to Crossface, that was a total nonstop Braunstein. That was you can say that was dumb rhetoric, but I had never thought of that idea until B-Dubs had articulated it. It was more aggressive than what I would have been inclined to do, more ambitious. And it was well, let's just see if it can work, with whoever shows up.
And the interesting thing about it is that it's kind of surprising that it works. There's no reason to suspect beforehand that it works. It's how could you explain that to somebody?
And nobody writing advice for Traveler players says, oh, you could have a campaign with 2 worlds, maybe 3, and that will be more than enough.
Right.
Yeah. No one. I don't remember anyone ever saying that.
Honestly, if you look at the advice, the prescriptions in the game manuals, they are very. They are sort of the designer has a very conventional play concept in mind, and yet despite that, it's very easy to use the game for something awesome.
It works in every system.
We were not playing the official Traveler universe. We were playing Doomrist.
Yeah,
it was a Doomrist universe, full stop. And
speaking of a sequel to Appendix N, I would love to see what you have to say about the Moat in God's Eye or something. I love that book.
I have a duffel bag full of Traveler antecedents.
What are you guys reading right now?
Oh, I read last summer, and then more recently, Araminta Station, and then Ek and Old Earth by Jack Vance. Highly recommend it. I would say it's like Twin Peaks in space before Twin Peaks is what it is.
I love Vance.
It's very good. Yeah. I was telling the guys over at Superversive that Superversive Radio that I've been reading Plutarch's Lives and a little bit of Herodotus and things like that. But for the fiction though, I've been doing some Vance. Last summer I read a bunch of Paul Anderson. I just binge read Paul Anderson. Yeah.
How about you, Thule? Who are you reading right now?
Right now I'm going back over Clark Ashton Smith. I forget which. His works always come in these like little collection books, and I forget which collection it is. But I always find myself going back to him. I love his writing. He's such a evocative, imaginative writer. Like not on the level of crazy Fantasia like Vance, but he's very imaginative, and he like can really bring you into his world.
So last year I read every single Raymond Chandler novel.
Jeez.
No, Ed, if you start, you're not going to stop. They're really good. They're
That's
really
awesome.
good.
I'm currently reading Gary Gygax. Yeah. This week I restarted my DMG reread again. So last week was a couple Conan stories, but
no, according to legend, you're going to see something in there that you didn't know was there before. That
I always forget stuff. It's
No,
like I read it, I'm like, oh yeah.
It is insane.
That's awesome.
Reading the DMG, like you can tell that Gary understands things on a gut level that he doesn't know how to articulate, and it's not clear until you run into the same problem that he did, and then you are like, wait a minute, I think he talked about this before.
Right? No,
it's not clear to you.
His elaborations you can't understand unless you're trying to play the game already.
Yes, yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yes.
Because you'll read it, you'll think, okay, this is how I'll do it, and then you'll go do it, and then you'll have problems, and you're like, well, I probably should go read that again, and you'll go back and read it, and you'll be like, oh, I interpreted it completely wrong when I started doing this.
Yeah, no, having played AD&D for over a year now, going back through it again, it's a lot easier to understand, and I'm like, oh, right, this is what I wish I would have known last time I read through this.
Yeah. Well, it's people talk about how you had to be initiated into the hobby. I think if you just stick to the text, because I'm not the guy that read all of Tony Bass's works. I'm not the guy that read all of the Alarms and Excursions fanzines. I'm not the guy that read boxes of stuff that were taken from Dave Arneson's attic. Okay, I'm not that guy. But I can tell you what was going on in the 1970s in gaming and wargaming because I read the DMG and did what it said and had a very close reading of that. And if you hear other things, like you immediately can recognize things. I really feel bad for John Peterson because
I don't.
There's just things that are obvious about the game. Once you played it a certain way,
that he lies about.
Honestly, look. I didn't promise anybody that I would be nice on the stream, so I'm just going to say that I read Peterson's book, The Elusive Shift, and I have to say that there was basically in every other paragraph, there was just a straight up lie.
Just a political agenda to
complete misrepresentation of what actually happened, what people actually said. Total misrepresentation. That is one of the worst books I've ever read.
There was no shift. There was no elusive shift. There was a repudiation. There was a clean break. The fact that the DMG is written entirely in terms of these large club games. No matter what anybody else says, the fact that it's entirely about building up this giant club game, that's not a shift. Like, this was the flagship RPG product for over a decade. Yes. Hardly anybody played anything else as much as they played this one. It was ubiquitous, and it is 100% a template for running the type of game that Dave Arneson ran, a very large game with armies moving around the map and all kinds of stuff like that. And it's even crazier. It's turnkey. You just have to
follow it. Even if you're confused, the thing is, you don't have to understand why he's telling you what to do. You just have to do it.
The issue is
that's the great thing about it is that this is accessible to basically anybody that can read and follow instructions.
Okay, so
you just have to do it.
That's exactly the point I was about to make, though, because the issue for me is I'll be talking to these people who are self-proclaimed like RPG experts, right?
Right.
And I'll bring up that I play AD&D and I try to keep every rule in my mind. I make mistakes, but my goal is rules as written. And they're just like, that's impossible. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, have you ever read
Yeah.
AD&D? And they're like, no, it's too hard to understand. And I'm like, have you ever tried? Because it's English words. And if you read them one after another and break at periods, you could probably figure it out.
It is a clear stumbling block for people, because the other thing about AD&D is that it is a holistic piece. It's a holistic work. You can't read one section and then say, oh, well, now I understand this section, and then read another section and say, now I understand that piece. You can't understand it by pieces.
And
there is a vision. There's a very grand vision of a person who's frustrated with people playing the game wrong.
No, he's definitely reacting against people that had very short-lived campaigns because they changed.
He says it over and over. Yeah, he says it over and over. And by the way, this is addressed in this amazing, just awe-inspiring essay that's coming up.
It's coming.
Guys, those of you who are watching, if you don't back this book, I will never forgive you if we don't get the second essay. So make it happen.
Oh no, but Gary Gygax, he wrote that with all of his experience as a gamer and a war gamer and a role player, but there were also people in his life that were bullying him and making him be more ambitious and making him better, because he whined about the weapon versus AC tables and the unarmed combat rules, and like somebody made him include those in order to satisfy the elite org. It's like, you gotta, like, who was that person that bullied Gygax into making
bully?
Yes, I know. Some people suspect it was Brian Bloom because of his work on Boot Hill, but like we don't know for sure. But like, it's probably good that he left the hobby after AD&D, because he was like talking about changing that, and I don't know. I just don't know if I could respect him if he took out those unarmed combat rules that are just so beautiful.
Do you guys know Pogo's here? Pogo Donuts. Keep your eye on this guy. He's the dude who's running Ferrigno in Umbros, and he's in every pro game. But keep your eye on him. This dude is.
No, like that thing with the Umbros game and then the F4 firing the ballista with the dragon sword at it in the end, right? It's like, when I was a kid, I thought that Dungeons and Dragons would have people fighting dragons in it. And I think every bro campaign, and every time somebody starts one of these things that are based off of BrOSR or something like that, there is a dragon fight every time. Like, and it's big, and I'm just like, I'm glad we finally recovered the other half of the game, because it's way more fun than the one that everybody did to death.
Well, guys, I think we're getting close to time. I do want to say thank you so much for coming on today. Like, this has been a blast. I'm ready for the book. Do you have anything else, any closing statements, something that you feel like, should have been brought up on the stream and it just hasn't been?
No, not a thing.
Jeffro, do you like me?
Okay. No. I really appreciate you a lot, Scotty. No, like back when we were doing those first session Braunsteins, we didn't know what we were digging into yet. We didn't know. I didn't know that these ideas were replicable, because you gotta think, before this, the only people outside of the BrOSR to do anything was that frickin' Oriental Adventures games run by Curator, which like, people tell me how innovative it was and how important it was, but like, man, it was disaster. It was egg on my face. It was such a disaster, so conspicuous a disaster. It was like, how can we get anyone to play anything remotely like us and get a good experience out of it? It wasn't until like you went and did your session reports of your session Braunstein on your channel, and I wrote down word for word everything that you said, you know, on my blog, you know, like that was like the first confirmation that like, nah, this is it. This is it. Somebody else is seeing what I'm seeing. It's not just my friends. Like there's something here that other people can do. And man, we had like years of work to do from that point. Yeah, and you not like those other people at random table who thought they were ready to move on. You know, I think you stuck with us. I think you stuck with us.
So my wife wants to say thank you as well because she has currently won 2 session Braunsteins, and she has declared herself the queen of Braunstein. And so
Well,
she goes undefeated in our local group. So
outstanding.
all right, well, thank you guys so much for coming today. Thule, any last thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, you know, lately I've seen more. I think there is a big shift happening that's not that visible to everybody, but I'm seeing more people come in to the hobby, interested in these games, and they are not conventional players. They don't have an RPG background. They're, you know, coming from video games like Forex, strategy games, things like that, and they understand this stuff instinctively. They understand it because, you know, when you play video games, you're actually playing the game. You know, you're actually doing the stuff, and like this so much of the flack, so much of the noise that you see on Twitter is from people that are stuck playing the game in this terrible way that is not necessary. It's easily avoidable, and also it's just arduous. It's burdensome to play the game that way. There is an easier way, and whichever of these camps you're in, whether you're, you know, a conventional play zombie, or just somebody who's looking at this and saying, well, maybe RPGs are interesting after all. This book, Winning Secrets, is there. It explains all this stuff, not just to say just do it, but it explains it on a conceptual level. It explains it on like a kind of logical way, a historical way, like there's a kind of a narrative of discovery, of figuring things out. And lastly, on a spiritual dimension, on the questions about like what kind of person are you, what kinds of things are you necessarily attracted to or polarized against. So it has all this element, all these elements combined and like wrapped up in one place.
No, that
Amazing.
I know we're supposed to end, but like that's something like Gabe has told us on the back channels is that and this is an impossible thing to talk about, like when you talk about in this world, like of the post bowling alone world, post lockdown world, when you talk about like you've created a piece of culture, you revived a piece of culture that has given people a sense of community and fraternity, like that's a heavy lift.
And I found my people online, man. Like the BroXT server, the Discord server, it's got me so excited. It's all I'm thinking about. I'm constantly messaging. Like, I send all these messages to the guys when they're asleep, and so like they wake up and it's just like bloop 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 bloop, bloop Scooty Mike, it's just one after another. Like it really is this camaraderie that we have there. We're all challenging each other and pushing each other to be better gamers and better people. It's awesome.
Yeah. Who would have thought? Like, who would have thought? No one saw it coming.
Yeah, it is amazing. Like a year ago, you know, almost a year ago today, basically, I wasn't really that familiar with most of the people that are on the Drakenheim server, and now I'm exposed to 50 guys, you know, 50 people that are trying to, like, they're all trying to get at the same thing I'm trying to get at. They're trying to like go deep into RPGs. They're trying to figure out, like, you know, what can we do? What can we get away with? What are the interesting stuff we can come up with? So it really does
I wish
bring
I
people,
could join you
people are coming
guys,
together,
man.
you know.
Like
People are
I
really
know
actually
5e
coming together.
so well. Like, I wish I could join you. That would be so fun because I played that game for so long. I could do some pretty busted
Oh,
stuff.
you'd be one of the few people that is familiar with 5e on there.
Oh yeah.
I have to beg other people to tell me how to do stuff.
Oh man, yeah. Oh, anyway, guys. Oh, it has been an absolute pleasure. You have blessed my stream today. Thank you for coming. If you are watching and you haven't backed Winning Secrets, the PDF is just a couple of dollars. There's literally zero reason why you don't have this. So go make it happen. We want that second essay. Thank you, Thule. Thank you, Jeffro, for coming. Thank you, Jeffro, for improving my games. This has been an absolute blast. First time I've had him on the channel, guys. So, all right, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Bye-bye.